Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much again for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Let's take another look here at SUI, see what's going on with this sweet coin. Hope you know what I did there. People always wonder why I never pronounce the word, even though it's probably what, SUI, I don't know. It's an acronym. That's really what it boils down to. Either way you look at it, let's take a quick look here. This is not an exact science here, folks. Please understand this. This is a crude illustration. We got a little bit of a rising wedge here for us, which is generally a bearish sign. Not trying to, proclamate that we're going to see the price pull back monumentally, but it would make sense for us to still see a retest this all-time high at 496, or just say round number $5. So just know that that's a possible reality here if Bitcoin pulls back. Because again, SUI did really well here with this nice little pump. I mean, what was it, about a 3% increase concurrent with Bitcoin, but not quite as strong as a lot of other altcoins. I mean, you see how strong Bitcoin came up. SUI is kind of drawing dead here. So not claiming that that's the commonality here, or something that we should expect the price to perform poorly, but I would just say, generally speaking, I expected more from this push here from Bitcoin for SUI. Quick congrats to community members here. I know this is a trade we took late last week, but took some nice profits over the weekend, about 58% from SUI. Got in like 434 to 525, so happy about that. But mainly here, I want to show this to you because Bitcoin did have a pretty massive injection of volume, $1.3 billion to get it from 98 to roughly 102,000. So in that time frame, a lot of altcoins tried to push higher and try to break through the resistance levels, and some did, some didn't. This one barely did. We kind of effectively have a double top here too. So again, there's just some patterns here forming early that are letting us know that a shift in momentum may be occurring here for SUI. Do you take trades based on patterns? No, that's not what you do. You do that in conjunction with other divergences or convergences. Yes, that makes sense. So let's take a look here and see if there is something on the back end that's kind of letting us know there's incentive for either direction. A lot of folks shorting at 540, or they have a stop loss and or liquidation event occur at 540. So that tells us that 540 to 550 is a distinct possibility we see that level. We can also recognize the same thing here as well from a macro perspective. There is a ton of shorts in the market right now. I don't know why people like to short this coin, but they're more like the gamblers. They're probably the coin flippers, because when you short into an all-time high, or more importantly, a price discovery for a coin, especially the coins like this, it's just inherently more risky, right? You want to wait for the price action to retest this all-time high to see if that holds, and at that point you consider shorting. You don't short into what a potential top is, because when you're price discovering, you have no idea where the top is. It's literally a flip of a coin. Okay, and the same thing goes for long too. You don't truly know where it's going to go either. So there's two sides of that story. The key takeaway is you want to watch your trade closely and adjust your stop loss higher if you're in profit. And the inverse as well, if obviously you're insisting on taking a very high risk short, by the way. If we take a look here, we can see liquidation delta is fairly high. It's been sustaining itself for about 24 to 40 hours. It's not quite as bad as other coins, like Solana does look like it wants to pull back just because it's been too high for too long. Generally speaking, when you have too much liquidation in one direction, market makers will see this and they'll try to push in the opposite. We're not quite there yet, but we're absolutely long biased. In other words, people have way more longs than shorts in the market, which to me just makes a lot more sense. Shorting right now is just a terrible idea. However, I totally understand the merit and the incentive, because we are seeing a double top. This is a bit of a rising wedge. You could even argue this is a bullish rectangle pattern. So again, those patterns are going to kind of influence you in the wrong way. So try not to think about that. What I'm getting at here is if we zoom in a little bit, you can kind of see that 530, 528, we have the most amount of open interest, okay? And that reinforces the resistance at that level. So once more, that kind of tells me that taking a long right now doesn't make a ton of sense, just from a tactical standpoint. Now, can this coin take off and move up from here? Yeah, it's probably more likely to do that. But I'm just kind of letting you know that, truth is, there's some conflicting information here, and taking a long at the top, to me, just seems like it's not super sensible. Again, it depends on what kind of trader you are. If you're a spot bag trader, dude, just keep adding to your position. It's fine. It's not like a big deal, because this coin will probably continue to go higher over time. But if you're using any form of leverage, taking a long or a short right now just doesn't seem to be the most practical. Again, just to me, from a bird's eye view. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit further and see. First of all, this is a weekly time frame. There's not really a lot to note here. Everything's truly bullish, so I can just summarize it quickly for you. There's nothing really there that's showing us any hidden bearish divergence. And you always hear me say sarcastically when I say the word hidden, because I think it's kind of garbage that indications are hidden. I really don't think they are. I think for the most part, we just got to follow the analysis and understand that, hey, sometimes sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But for the most part, trying to find these these little like tiny shifts in momentum doesn't make a ton of sense when everything else is pointing up, right? I don't care if there's one little indicator telling us it's going to go down when everything else is going up. You don't trade against that. Okay. All right. Anyways, I consistently reiterate and reaffirm that just because there's some folks that watch my channel that are pretty newer to trading. The majority of my traders are newish. And in that sense, I have to reaffirm and reiterate best practice. You'll never hear me tell you what you want to hear. It's always just going to be what literally is going on here, and it's something you need to understand and recognize. Anyways, it's always for your own good. That's my whole incentive, and that's why I created the channel, to try to change the dynamic, because I really just think the crypto market is flawed based on a bunch of moon boys and just people that really don't know what the heck they're doing. All that being said, RSI is pretty much topping out, but it's not a reason to take a short. Truth is too, we're not over 50 on the RSI or 70 on the RSI. We're getting closer to that resistance, kind of reaffirming that we're slowing down and the likelihood of breaking up is becoming less of a reality. We can also see money flow index is high though. That kind of contradicts that whole thing, letting us know that we have a lot of sustainability. I would much rather follow the volume than I would anything else. Okay, so to me, it seems to make more sense that as long as we continue to maintain a decent amount of volume on this coin, we should be in good shape to see the price continue higher. However, if we do take a look here, volume is drying up, so to speak, while we're still a decent amount of volume. It's not quite what we need to see the next push up. So as this volume dissipates, we'll probably see the price action start to bleed out. So I wouldn't be surprised if we still see the price pull back to local highs, local all-time highs, $4.96, $5 even, right in that range. Anyways, just kind of throwing it out there. So again, the best practice for situations like this, because we got a MACD divergence, we got a lot of reasons why on smaller time frames we're just losing that momentum. The best practice here is to either do two things. If you are insistent on taking a long right now, take a small position long. Don't put everything you got into it. Take a third or half of what you normally would put into a position. Maybe average in, right? Take an entry right now, 522, secondary at 510, tertiary 496, right? Kind of average into your position down as we move into support if it were to happen. Then you are not missing out, because if you're a FOMO person, then that feels good to do that. If if I were you, I would just honestly wait for a long in the lower $5 range. It makes a little bit more sense. That's just me being being more conservative and patient. And I'll tell you what, I probably missed the most amount of opportunities in the market. Okay, so if you're looking for a precise entry target from me, those precision targets that I can provide, they generally don't always hit their targets based on just how the market moves, right? You'll never catch them all. But we take a look here though. This is another reason why I'm not super confident on taking a long right now, because while we're above the cloud and we're maintaining some good support, I don't like to see the conversion line, the baseline squeezing together. I don't like to see the lagging span within the price action. It's just kind of like a Bollinger Band mess, right? So if you've ever seen Bollinger Bands start to compress, the price either breaks out in a strong direction one way or the other, okay? So why be a breakout trader and hope the price goes up when it seems a little more likely it's going to, on the short term, come back down, all right? Again, just these are the things that go into my head. I like to impart onto you. You make your own decisions, your own thoughts. But generally speaking, at this point here, I think the best trade is no trade. But if you're going to insist, average into your position as the price comes back down, if it were to, and essentially, just know that the overall trend is up, but the short-term trend here, it looks and feels like it's reversing itself a little bit to likely retest this all-time high. And like in price action history, I would say over 90% of all-time highs are commonly retested at least one time before they take off. So we haven't seen that yet. It would be sensible for us to expect that, because there's probably a lot of fair value, which you can kind of see on majority of these time frames, where the price action moved too fast, and market makers are going to want to take their plunder, right? They're going to want that extra chub, if you will. Okay, so good stuff. All right, anyways, that's kind of all I got. Thanks again so much for watching. Be sure to tune into Bitunix if you haven't yet already. Use my link to register. You'll be eligible for some awesome benefits. No KYC or VPN required. Also recommend too enabling alerts on my Twitter, Telegram, or Discord, so you can kind of stay abreast on coins that I analyze. Bitcoin is looking pretty bullish, but I am anticipating a pullback to possibly that 99.7 or that $100,000 range. And if so, I think that'd be a perfect place for liftoff. So I got a lot of alerts set here ready for that kind of price action. That may never happen though, folks. You got to recognize the market moves fast, and sometimes you can miss opportunities, but I think it's best to wait, just to be patient, and heaven forbid you miss some opportunities. You know, at the end of the day, you can sleep soundly knowing that you made the right call, even if the call didn't work out the way that you wanted to, right? It's way better to wait for a trade that never happens than to take a trade that is super high risk, okay? All right, thanks again, folks. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have yourself a great rest of your day. Take care.